Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to attend G7 summit after receiving invitation from Canada's Mark Carney. Says both sides will work together with renewed vigour, guided by mutual respect and shared interests. UK's Foreign Secretary David Lammy will arrive in New Delhi today. Will meet Prime Minister, External Affairs Minister and Commerce and Industry Minister, focus on strengthening bilateral ties. US-China officials will meet in London on June 9 to discuss a trade deal. Trump says Beijing agreed to let rare earths minerals flow to Washington. Remark follows rare call between the two leaders. In the French Open Final 2025, in men's singles, Sinner downs Djokovic to reach the maiden final, while in women's singles, Aryna, Sabalenka and Coco Gauff set for showdown in Roland Garros showpiece later today. And Muslims worldwide celebrate Eid al-Adha. Sacred occasion symbolizes devotion, selflessness and compassion. A journey to remember and a big boost to connectivity in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in a historic visit there, inaugurated the world's highest railway arch bridge, Chenab Rail Bridge, India's first cable-stayed rail bridge, Anji Bridge, and flagged off two Vande Bharat Express trains from Sri Mata Vaishno Devi, Katra to Srinagar and back. Today, we show you the highlights of the memorable visit.
माता वैष्णो देवी के आशीर्वाद से आज वादी कश्मीर भारत के रेल नेटवर्क से जुड़ गई। उधमपुर, श्रीनगर, बारामूला, ये रेल लाइन प्रोजेक्ट ये सिर्फ नाम नहीं है, ये जम्मू कश्मीर के नए सामर्थ्य की पहचान है। भारत के नए सामर्थ्य का जयघोष है। चिनाब ब्रिज दुनिया का सबसे ऊंचा रेलवे आर्च ब्रिज है। हमारा अंजी ब्रिज भी इंजीनियरिंग का बेहतरीन नमूना है। प्रोजेक्ट पूरा करना मुश्किल था, चुनौतीपूर्ण था, लेकिन हमारी सरकार ने चुनौती को ही चुनौती देने का रास्ता चुना है। ये दिखाता है विकसित भारत का सपना जितना बड़ा है उतना ही बुलंद हमारा हौसला है, हमारा सामर्थ्य है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has accepted Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney's invitation for the G7 summit that is scheduled to be held from 15th to 17th of June in Alberta's Kananaskis. In a post on X, Prime Minister Modi congratulated Canadian Prime Minister for his recent election victory and also thanked for the invite of G7 meet later this month. Prime Minister said that India and Canada will work together with renewed vigour, guided by mutual respect and shared interests. India is not a member of the bloc, which comprises of Japan, Italy, France, Germany, Canada, the United States and the United Kingdom. However, Prime Minister Modi has been invited for all the summits since 2019, when France first extended an invitation to the Biarritz summit. Later in 2021, he virtually attended the summit at Cornwall in the UK. British Foreign Secretary David Lammy will pay a two-day visit to India beginning Saturday to review bilateral ties in areas of trade as well as defence and security. Lammy will hold wide-ranging talks with his Indian counterpart, Dr. S. Jaishankar, and is scheduled to call on Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The British Foreign Secretary will also meet Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal. Lammy's visit to New Delhi comes over a month after the two countries finalized an ambitious free trade agreement. The Indian side is expected to raise the issue of cross-border terrorism from Pakistan with the British Foreign Secretary. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh laid out the Government of India's new position of zero tolerance and of assured retaliation against Pak-sponsored terrorism. Highlighting India's stand on terrorism, Rajnath Singh has written an article in India's national daily Times of India. He has said that terrorism is a scourge on humanity. It thrives on misguided notions of revolution, martyrdom, and a romanticized view of violence. The assertion that one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter is a dangerous misnomer. True freedom can never be built on fear and bloodshed. The currency of terrorism is fear, yet even in spreading fear, they have failed to instill any sense of pessimism. India is testimony to this fact. Whether it's 26/11 or the 2001 Parliament attack or the recent Pahalgam attack, India stands taller, stronger and more resolute than ever. Singh also called for a clear global definition of terrorism and urged freezing the finances of terrorist groups and their state sponsors. He warned of Pakistan glorifying terrorists, risking nuclear weapons misuse. Singh also urged unified global condemnation of terrorism and worldwide cooperation to eliminate it. Meanwhile, India's global outreach on Operation Sindoor is now in its final leg. Out of the 7 multi-party delegations carrying the message of India's principled and resolute stand against terrorism, 5 delegations have now returned after concluding their successful visit to the respective countries. In Washington, D.C., Shashi Tharoor's delegation engaged in candid conversations with members of the U.S. Congress, U.S. government, think tanks and intelligentsia, as well as members of the American Press Corps at a reception hosted by the ambassador. He thanked the leaders for their warm presence and said that their active contributions to advancing India-US partnership are deeply valued. Tharoor also attended a lively session with Washington-based media at the National Press Club in D.C., moderated by its Indian-American treasurer, Poonam Sharma. The issues taken up were related to Operation Sindoor and India's actions against terrorism. The Indian parliamentary delegation also held productive meeting with Senator Chris Van Hollen, member of the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee. The delegation briefed him on the heinous terrorist attack in Pahalgam, discussed India's subsequent Operation Sindoor and also put forth India's firm resolve to counter cross-border terrorism in all its forms. The senator sympathized with the victims of the repeated terror attacks in India and that the US stands with India in the fight against terrorism and expressed support for India's right to defend itself. The delegation, led by Shashi Tharoor, also had a warm and candid conversation with US Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Landau. The Indian delegation briefed him as well on the atrocities of the Pahalgam terror attack and Operation Sindoor. Later, Tharoor also enjoyed a warm and productive telephonic conversation with Senator Cory Booker, member of the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee. He briefed him on the monstrous terror attack in Pahalgam. He also outlined the repeated provocations of terrorism emanating from across the border, laid out the details of Operation Sindoor and also emphasized on India's firm resolve in countering any future acts of terrorism. Senator Booker unequivocally condemned terrorism and expressed sympathies with the victims. The conversation also touched upon broader themes in the India-US strategic partnership, which enjoys robust support. Meanwhile, all-party delegation led by Ravi Shankar Prasad will arrive from Belgium later today. World Food Safety Day is being observed today, a global awareness initiative that highlights the critical importance of safe food in ensuring good health, promoting food security and fostering economic prosperity. The theme this year is Food Safety, Science and Action, drawing attention to the use of scientific knowledge as key to reducing illness, cutting costs and saving lives. Science is at the heart of food safety and it helps us understand what makes food unsafe and guides us on how to prevent foodborne diseases. By focusing on science, the 2025 theme encourages evidence-based policy making and reinforces the idea that safe food saves lives. On the occasion of World Food Safety Day, India's Health and Family Welfare Minister JP Nadda will deliver the keynote address and unveil key initiatives in the event centered on Stop Obesity by Eating Safe and Healthy in Bengaluru. In good news coming in from northeast part of the country, the Assam flood situation is improving with flood-affected victims being reduced to 4.4 lakh in 18 districts. The IMD has issued yellow alerts for Tripura, Mizoram, Nagaland, Manipur. Heavy rainfall is likely at isolated places over Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram and Tripura. As per the latest ASDMA report, 5 rivers are flowing above the danger level. The receding of floodwaters has reduced the number of villages affected to around 1,296 now. Sribhumi remains the worst affected district with 2.1 lakh people being affected, followed by Hailakandi with 1.2 lakh people affected and then Kachar with 70,000 population affected. No fresh deaths have been reported, keeping the death toll to 16 now. Over 2.96 lakh animals are facing the brunt of the reeling floodwaters. The SDRF, DDRF, Inland and Water Transport, Fire and Emergency Services, local administration offices are carrying out the rescue operations relentlessly. On Friday, 84 medical teams were deployed with Kachar alone setting up 65 teams. The SDRF teams rescued over 30 people through 22 boats that were deployed in the state. Chief Minister Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma visited flood-hit areas, including relief camps in Hailakandi and Sribhumi districts on Friday. He reviewed the prevailing flood conditions with district administration and other line departments and assured the affected people of all government help to quickly restore normalcy once the floodwater recedes. The Chief Minister also directed district commissioners of Sribhumi and Hailakandi to ensure emergency supply of all essentials. Moving on to Sikkim now, where marking an important step in the ongoing relief efforts, in the first sortie of the day, Indian Air Force's B-17 helicopter started transporting essential supplies to Chaten. The helicopter carried 1,300 kilograms of relief materials and 5 officials from the Food and Civil Supplies Department. Further, the same aircraft would be transporting army personnel from Chaten to Pakyong Greenfield Airport. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India now. IIT Guwahati researchers have found a new way to detect COVID-19 using clay sedimentation. Now, this affordable method simplifies virus detection and does not rely on expensive lab tools. The team now aims to expand its use for other viruses and field applications. Gujarat Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel launched and laid the foundation for projects worth over 557 crore rupees in Rajkot. He said that the initiatives would improve urban life and boost development under Urban Development Year Plan. Incentives, subsidies and property cards were also distributed to support local beneficiaries. Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Eknath Shinde took part in the annual Palki Dindi Festival. This traditional pilgrimage is celebrated by the Warkari community with devotion and music. It is a major spiritual event showcasing Maharashtra's rich cultural heritage. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, public feud between Trump and Elon Musk sends political and economic shockwaves internationally. Mexico says fentanyl trafficking to the US has dropped about 40%. A 1926 Bugatti Royale raced again at the French National Automobile Museum. But what caught the onlookers this time? Stay with us to know.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy, always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. In a significant diplomatic move, US President Donald Trump announced a new round of trade talks with China set for Monday in London following a call with Chinese President Xi Jinping. China is unlikely to loosen its grip on the export of rare earths needed to manufacture electric vehicles, fighter jets and microchips, despite the call between President Trump and Chinese leader Xi Jinping on Thursday. The scheduled talks mark the second round of negotiations since Trump initiated a trade war with sweeping tariffs this year. The talks involving U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and Trade Representative Jamison Greer aim to ease tensions between the world's two largest economies. Donald Trump, via his Truth Social platform, posted about the talks, saying that the meeting should go very well. Last month's Geneva talks led to a temporary tariff reduction, with the U.S. duties on Chinese goods dropping to 30% and China's to 10%. However, with the truce nearing its August expiration and Trump accusing China of violating terms, stakes seem high. A dramatic rift between U.S. President Donald Trump and billionaire Elon Musk is sending political and economic shockwaves internationally. Once allies, the two are now publicly feuding after Musk slammed Trump's massive spending bill as an abomination. Trump retaliated by threatening to cancel Musk's lucrative government contracts, including NASA-linked SpaceX deals. Though Trump downplayed the feud on Friday, calling Musk a man who has lost his mind, he hinted at reviewing billions in federal subsidies Musk companies receive. Tesla's share plunged 14% on Thursday, but rebounded partially on Friday amid efforts to cool tensions. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump said that he was too busy working on international issues to be thinking about tech billionaire Elon Musk following their public falling out. All right, to get us more, Mark Lynn joins us
I've been
Delhi.
so busy working on China, working on Russia, working on Iran, working on somebody. I'm not thinking about it.
All right, Mark Lynn joins us to get us more on this. He's joining us from Delhi. Mark, good morning. What do you make of this public feud between Elon Musk and Donald Trump? How severe is it? And to what extent will it have a bearing on the global markets?
Well, Tesla shares were down considerably, so one can say that is impacting global markets. But otherwise, one is not very sure, about what this feud is about, because one looks to the personality involved. They are both people who want to be in the foreground.
Mark, I'll interrupt you here. Your voice is distorting a lot. We'll try getting back to you again to get more on this developing news. But meanwhile, we'll turn focus to other updates. U.S. President Donald Trump signed 3 executive orders aimed at strengthening U.S. defense against drone threats, accelerating commercial drone usage, and also reviving supersonic air travel. The orders mark a sweeping effort to modernize U.S. airspace control, authorizing routine drone operations beyond visual line of sight, while pushing back against reliance on Chinese drone makers. Trump's orders create a federal task force to enhance real-time drone detection, expand protection around sensitive locations, and assist local law enforcement. The executive actions also aim to fast-track testing of electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, benefiting U.S. firms such as Joby Aviation and Archer Aviation. Additionally, Trump ordered the FAA to lift a 1973 ban on overland supersonic flight, provided aircraft produced no audible sonic boom on the ground. U.S. President Donald Trump spoke with his new South Korean counterpart, Lee Jae-myung, on Friday, who just took office this week. South Korea's presidential office confirmed that President Lee and Trump held their first phone call and released the still photographs of the call. Lee Jae-myung and Trump have agreed to work towards a swift tariff agreement during their first phone call. White House stated Trump invited Lee to a summit in the U.S. and they plan to meet soon. Lee, a liberal, was elected following the impeachment and removal of former conservative leader Yoon Suk-yeol. South Korea, a key U.S. ally, agreed to create a July package in April to remove tariffs before Trump's 90-day tariff pause ended, but the progress stalled due to government change in Seoul. Mexico on Friday stated that fentanyl trafficking to the U.S. has dropped about 40% since President Trump took office, but noted that they are still awaiting updated seizure data from the U.S. authorities. Trump has pointed to fentanyl trafficking as a reason for imposing tariffs on Mexico, although many shipments remain unaffected due to protections under a three-nation trade deal.
The reduction in the flow of fentanyl from Mexico to the United States has fallen significantly. Between the time President Trump took office and today, the drop is close to 40%. We are awaiting data from the U.S. government's CBP.
Kilmer Abrego Garcia, a man mistakenly deported from Maryland to El Salvador by the Trump administration, has returned to the United States to face federal criminal charges. Abrego Garcia is scheduled to appear in a federal court in Nashville, Tennessee on Friday evening. He faces charges related to the transportation of undocumented migrants within the United States, stemming from an indictment filed on May 21st. His return follows a high-profile diplomatic effort, with Salvadoran President Nayib Bukele agreeing to extradite Abrego Garcia after U.S. authorities presented an official arrest warrant. Bolivia's Supreme Electoral Court confirmed national elections will proceed on August 17th, despite widespread unrest and the execution of former President Evo Morales from the ballot. Tensions have intensified as Morales supporters protested outside Santa Cruz's electoral court, banging pots amid the concerns about the economy. Meanwhile, Bolivian Minister of Public Works Edgar Montano denounced that alleged supporters of Morales took over the Quimor airport in central Bolivia on Friday, causing damage to the facility, attributing the incident to protests over Morales' exclusion from the upcoming elections. Morales' lawyers have challenged the legality of his exclusion from the presidential race.
A pesar de todos los problemas que ustedes conocen, la Sala Plena está decidida, absolutamente decidida, a garantizarle al pueblo boliviano que el 17 de agosto se harán las elecciones, aunque haya alguna gente que no la quiera hacer.
A large group of teachers marched in Mexico City on Friday, with some participants vandalizing a government building during the protest. The demonstration was part of a national movement organized by two teachers' unions. Elvira Velicious Morales, a union leader, called for the repeal of the 2007 ISSSTE pension law and the PENA-AMLO education reform, voicing discontent with the recent salary hike announced by President Claudia Sheinbaum. The 2019 education reform prioritized hiring graduates from specific institutions and removed diagnostic exams for job access and scholarships. It also decentralized school construction and maintenance and established a commission to oversee continuous educational improvement. Ecuadorian police discovered the bodies of 4 kidnapped merchants in Guayaquil. The victims had been suffocated. 3 suspects have been detained in connection with the case. One of the victims was a Chinese woman abducted in May. Investigations into the motive and identities of the culprits are ongoing. Peruvian authorities confiscated 110 stuffed lizards intended for illegal use in traditional medicine. The reptiles were preserved in alcohol-filled glass jars. The operation was carried out in southern Peru by the National Forestry and Wildlife Service. Officials say the sale of such items violates wildlife protection laws. The animals were being marketed as alternatives to herbal remedies. A Tokyo-based startup, iSpace, has reported that it is not yet established communication with its lunar lander following a recent attempt to land on the moon. The announcement came across approximately 15 minutes after the lander's scheduled touchdown. The lander initiated its descent towards a smooth, unobstructed area in the moon's northern hemisphere known as Mare Frigoris. If successful, the mission would mark the first time a Japanese private company has achieved a lunar landing. The spacecraft was launched from Florida in January and entered lunar orbit in late May. This marks iSpace's second attempt at a lunar landing after its initial effort in 2023 ended in failure. A look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. Security forces filled the streets of Lome, Togo in response to the rare anti-government protests. Demonstrators voiced discontent with the ruling authorities. French doctors warn of widespread cadmium exposure from phosphate fertilizers in food. Children and women are particularly vulnerable. With the metal found in common items like breakfast cereals, experts urge a shift towards organic diets. In Tunisia's southern desert, camel milk is emerging as a source of economic opportunity. A woman-led initiative founded by Latifa Frifita is running the country's only camel milk pasteurization unit. A 1926 Bugatti Royale, one of the only 6 ever made, raced again at the French National Automobile Museum. This time it was powered by renewable hydrocarbon fuel. The historic car merges automotive heritage with modern sustainability. Japan's Princess Kako met members of the Japanese-Brazilian community in Sao Paulo. She visited the Brazilian Society of Japanese Culture and the Japanese Pavilion. The visit marks 130 years of diplomatic ties between Japan and Brazil. The princess, niece of Emperor Naruhito, is on an official goodwill tour. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, armed teams detain civilians in Los Angeles, sparking fear in immigrant communities and drawing criticism from civil rights groups. Fourth week of Sean Diddy's Combs trial wraps up with women testifying about lack of safety and consent. Brazil's Amazon rainforest is once again under threat. Why? Stay with us to know more. Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick relook at the top stories now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to attend G7 summit after receiving invitation from Canada's Mark Carney says both the sides will work together with renewed vigour, guided by mutual respect and shared interests. UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy will arrive in New Delhi today. Will meet the Prime Minister, External Affairs Minister and Commerce and Industry Minister, focus on strengthening bilateral ties. US-China officials will meet in London on June 9th to discuss a trade deal. Trump says Beijing agreed to let rare earth minerals flow to Washington. Remark follows rare call between the two leaders. In the French Open Final 2025, in men's singles, Sinner downs Djokovic to reach maiden final, while in women's singles, Aryna, Sabalenka and Coco Gauff set for showdown in Roland Garros showpiece event later today. And Muslims worldwide celebrate Eid al-Adha. Sacred occasion symbolizes devotion, selflessness and compassion. Tensions erupted in Los Angeles on Friday, 6th of June, as protesters clashed with riot police outside the Edward R. Roy Ball Federal Building amid reports of ICE raids. Now, aerial footage showed police tackling demonstrators and deploying smoke devices to disperse crowds marching against President Donald Trump's renewed immigration crackdown. The operation follows Trump's multi-pronged enforcement strategy, which includes deporting suspected Venezuelan gang members to El Salvador and targeting foreign student visas. The escalating unrest has drawn global attention, raising concerns over human rights, due process and the broader diplomatic fallout from US immigration policies. Hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs is facing explosive testimony in his ongoing sex trafficking trial, as a former partner described being pressured into unprotected intercourses. Testifying, the woman told a Manhattan federal court that Combs repeatedly dismissed her concerns about safety and boundaries. Sean Diddy's former partner said that she and Combs were in a relationship from 2021 to 2024, during which she felt increasingly manipulated and isolated. Fencing was installed around DuPont Circle Park, a key LGBTQ+ gathering spot ahead of World Pride Weekend in Washington. LGBTQ+ people from around the world are gathering in Washington this week for a parade, a political rally and cultural performances marking World Pride. Despite opposition from the community, the National Park Service has opted to close DuPont Circle Park. The U.S. Park Police said the temporary closure is necessary to secure the park, deter potential violence, reduce the risk of destructive acts, and also decrease the need for extensive law enforcement presence. World Pride is ongoing through June and has drawn hundreds of thousands of demonstrators near Donald Trump's residence. Peruvian authorities presented a 5.5 metric tons of seized drugs cartel on Friday, representing part of a larger 13-ton haul confiscated during a 3-week anti-narcotics operation. The Interior Ministry said seizures conducted between May 15th and June 5th targeted areas with higher incidences of drug production and trafficking, as well as border regions with Brazil and Ecuador. The drugs received included cocaine hydrochloride, cocaine-based paste, and marijuana, with police arresting 15 individuals. The Interior Ministry reported that the Anti-Drug Directorate of the Peruvian National Police has confiscated over 132 metric tons of narcotics so far in 2025. The Vatican's Foreign Minister, Paul Richard Gallagher, met with Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel in Havana on Friday to commemorate the 90th anniversary of the diplomatic relations between the Holy See and Cuba. At the meeting, Gallagher highlighted the island's importance to the Holy See, and the Cuban leader handed an official invitation for Pope Leo to visit the country. The Vatican's Foreign Minister is visiting Havana this week. Earlier on June 4th, he met with Foreign Minister Bruno Eduardo Rodriguez on June 4th. A 6.4 magnitude earthquake struck northern Chile, causing structural damage in Copiapó. The epicenter was located 54 kilometers south of Diego de Almagro in the Atacama region. Despite the shaking, no tsunami warning was issued. During the quake, presidential candidate Carolina Toja had to abruptly end a live radio interview. Authorities are monitoring the situation for aftershocks. As of early June, Saskatchewan is grappling with an unprecedented wildfire crisis due to factors including dry conditions, high winds, and human activities such as ATV riding and brush burning. The fires had led to widespread evacuations. Hundreds of residents have been displaced. The SPSEA had issued fire bans across northern Saskatchewan to mitigate further risks. The smoke from these fires has also affected air quality as far away as Europe, prompting health advisories in multiple countries. Wildfires continue to devastate large swathes of southern Siberia and Russia's Far East. Newly released images from the ministry show firefighting aircraft dousing flames across forested area in Zabaykalsky Krai and the neighboring Khabarovsk region. The fires, fueled by dry weather and strong winds, have prompted a large-scale emergency response involving hundreds of personnel, aircraft and ground vehicles. Environmental experts warn that the frequency and intensity of wildfires in Russia have been increasing in recent years, driven by climate change and forest mismanagement. Brazil's Amazon rainforest is once again under threat as official data released on Friday revealed a 9.1% rise in deforestation from August 2024 to May 2025, dealing a setback to President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva's climate commitments. The alarming figures from Brazil's National Institute for Space Research show a staggering 92% spike in Amazon deforestation in May alone as compared to the same month last year. The increase is largely attributed to a record fire season in 2024, fueled by severe drought and widespread land clearing for agriculture and cattle grazing, while deforestation slowed in other biomes, dropping 77% in the Pantanal wetlands. The Amazon's deterioration raises concerns ahead of the UN Climate Summit Brazil is set to host this year. Officials warn that these setbacks could undermine Brazil's international credibility on climate leadership and also jeopardize global efforts to combat environmental degradation. Muslims worldwide are celebrating their second holiest festival, Eid al-Azha, also known as Eid al-Zuha or Bakrid today. Scores of devotees throng the historic Jammu Masjid to offer prayers and celebrate Eid al-Azha. Dressed in traditional attire, worshippers came together in a spirit of devotion, unity and celebration. As one of the most significant celebrations in the Islamic calendar, it honors the unwavering faith and devotion of Prophet Ibrahim and marks the end of the annual Hajj pilgrimage. But beyond its religious significance, Eid al-Azha is also a moment to strengthen bonds with family, friends, colleagues and also loved ones. In Bhopal, city of Madhya Pradesh, people gathered in large numbers at the Eidgah on the occasion of Eid. They offered prayers and exchanged greetings of peace and goodwill. Similar scenes were witnessed in Mumbai, where people offered morning namaz at the Jama Masjid Mahim Dargah. The air echoed with chants of Eid Mubarak as families, young and old, embraced and celebrated the spirit of sacrifice and compassion that the festival symbolizes. The festival was celebrated in Saudi Arabia a day before the celebrations kicked off in India. President Draupadi Murmu has extended greetings on the auspicious occasion of Eid al-Azha. On social media, she said, and I quote her, "I extend heartiest greetings and best wishes to all countrymen, especially my Muslim brothers and sisters. This festival explains the importance of sacrifice, faith and noble ideals. On this auspicious occasion, let us all take a pledge to work with spirit of dedication for the society and the country." Prime Minister Narendra Modi has also extended his best wishes on Eid al-Adha. On social media, he said, and I quote, "May this occasion inspire harmony and strengthen the fabric of peace in our society, wishing everyone good health and prosperity." The Muslim community across Sri Lanka is also celebrating Eid al-Azha today with religious fervour. Devotees gathered at the mosques earlier in the morning to offer Eid prayers in a spirit of piety and devotion. President Anurakumara Dissanayake greeted the Muslim community on the occasion and stated that at a time when Sri Lanka is striving for national development and reconciliation, the enduring values of Hajj, that is unity, sacrifice and fraternity, offer profound guidance for the nation's progress. While in the holy city of Mecca, pilgrims performed the last major ritual of the Hajj, that is the stoning of the devil, on Friday, as Muslims around the globe celebrated the beginning of the Eid al-Azha holiday. The Hajj pilgrimage is the fifth pillar of the Islamic faith, which must be performed by all Muslims if financially viable at least once in their lives. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, we get you special reports on Indian government completing 11 years under Prime Minister Modi's leadership. Stay with us. And drones light up skies with marine life ahead of the Nice Oceans Summit. Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. The Indian government has completed 11 years of governance under Prime Minister Modi's leadership. Up next, we get you good governance. In fact, we get you how good governance has impacted lives and the Indian economy. From isolation to integration, the northeastern part of India has witnessed a decade of transformation. Prime Minister's Act East policy is unleashing the northeast's potential as India's gateway to Asia. Peace in this part of the country is turning the conflict zones into development hubs. DD India's correspondent Vishal Baristow brings you this report on 11 years of the Modi government and the northeastern region of India.
The northeast region is now a gateway to the Southeast Asia. Hill states like Nagaland have now become more accessible by a continuously increasing train network.
Nagaland is a hill state. You have railway had in Dimapur more than 100 years ago. Then it has come to the next station, and the railway station is coming to the capital Kohima. So this year also we are opening to one station, and 4 lane has reached Kohima, and then it will go its way to Imphal. And that is the route to look East policy. And the East policy is in action. And that is declared as National Highway, Trans Highway to Southeast Asia.
The drastic change in the northeastern region has been the result of a decisive leadership at the center.
There has been a complete paradigm shift in the attention that's given to the Northeast, in terms of the thought process, in terms of the financial investments, the development. So from all levels, there has been a huge change. Starts off with the Honorable Prime Minister himself, who has come more than 70 times to the Northeast in the last 11 years. More than 700 visits by different ministers of the Government of India have been made to Northeast.
But that is not all. To make Northeast AI ready, a blueprint of skill development has already been finalized. Once a frontier region of the country, the northeastern region has now become a treasure trove of opportunities. Vishal Baristo's report for DD India.
Today marks 11 years of remarkable transformation in India's farming sector under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership. Be it PM Kisan Samman Nidhi, Per Crop More Crop, ENAM or Agri Infrastructure Fund, these revolutionary initiatives have empowered crores of farmers with direct support, modern technology and market access, shifting the narrative from survival to self-reliance. So Yash Gupta, Director General of the Indian Auto LPG Coalition, praised 11 years of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership in India, calling it a time of real impact and transformative leadership. He highlighted how the Modi government has consistently turned challenges into opportunities, creating systems that touch the everyday lives of millions.
As we mark 11 years of Shri Narendra Modi ji's leadership as the Prime Minister of India, we are not just reflecting on a timeline. We are witnessing the transformation of a nation. These 11 years have been about speed, scale, and self-confidence. They have seen governance that is bold, decisive, and deeply rooted in the ethos of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, or Sabka Prayas. From ensuring financial inclusion through Jan Dhan Yojana to bringing dignity to millions through Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. From launching the world's largest health assurance scheme, Ayushman Bharat, to rolling out Digital India that has empowered even the remotest corners. This is governance that is not limited to announcing schemes. It delivers impact.
Srija Akula, India's women's table tennis player, lauds Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership. The young sports star specifically praised Operation Sindoor. Srija also spoke about the broader impact of Prime Minister Modi's 11-year leadership, noting how young athletes today feel more supported and empowered.
He completes 11 years in office. India's transformation is evident. The government's unwavering support for sports has led to initiatives like Khelo India scheme. On the strategic front, Operation Sindoor marked a significant milestone. In response to the April 22nd terror attack in Pahalgam, India launched a swift and decisive operation targeting terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan, showcasing India's commitment to safeguarding its citizens.
And after this, we now turn focus to sports. We'll talk of tennis first. In the French Open Final 2025, world number one Jannik Sinner defeated record-chasing Novak Djokovic for 6-4, 7-5, 7-6 in a clash of generations on Friday to set up a blockbuster final showdown with defending champion Carlos Alcaraz. Playing a younger, modern version of himself, the 38-year-old Djokovic looked every bit his age as Sinner used his blistering forehand to send the Serbian chasing the ball left, right and centre. The Italian will face a sterner test in Sunday's final against Alcaraz, who advanced while his semi-final opponent Lorenzo Musetti retired injured at the beginning of the fourth set. While the French Open women's singles final takes centre stage at Roland Garros on Saturday, world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka of Belarus will take on last year's semi-finalist American Coco Gauff as she looks up to land her first French Open crown to add to her 3 Grand Slam titles. Long considered a hard-court specialist, the 27-year-old top-seed Sabalenka, the most powerful player on the tour, will try to establish herself as an all-rounder with her first title in Paris. A finalist here in 2022, Gauff is also looking for her first singles crown in Paris. All right, our correspondent Priya Yadav is joining us from Delhi. Hi Priya, it was a thrilling match yesterday. Sinner is looking for a maiden French Open title while Alcaraz will be looking forward to retain the title. Tell us more about it. What can be expected?
Definitely a class game showed between both the players, Djokovic and Sinner. Djokovic was looking forward for a record-breaking 25th Grand Slam title, but that was put on a halt by Sinner. But it was definitely a very good match. And of course, if we talk about Yannick Sinner, he's looking forward for a maiden French Open Grand Slam title, and he'll be competing against Carlo Alcaraz, who is also a defending champion. Both the players have played magnificently well in the entire tournament. In fact, if we talk about Yannick Sinner, he has not dropped a single set in this entire tournament. And if we talk about the head-to-head record between both of these players, it is a 7-on-4, and with Alcaraz having a greater win in comparison to Yannick Sinner. But of course, it is going to be a very thrilling match between both the players. And also, if we talk about Alcaraz, he has been a defending champion and he has been playing excessively well and magnificently well in this entire tournament, and he has won the previous French Open Grand Slam title also. But Yannick Sinner will also be looking forward to win a maiden title. And if we also talk about the exit of Djokovic from this tournament, it also signifies and it also shows that there is going to be a first-time, a six-time actually successive player who is a young player. So it also shows a shift between the winners of different generations. So both of these players, the top 2 seeds who are going to be competing in the French Open men's singles, are born in 2000. So it is going to have a different champion altogether from a different generation. So it is definitely going to be a very thrilling match in the final as well.
All right, Priya, it will also be a rare clash in the final of the women's singles. World's top 2 players will be competing in the showdown match today.
Of course, if we talk about the women's singles also, and not just in the men's singles, but also in the women's singles, both the top 2 players are going to be competing for the first time after 2013 in US Open. And of course, if we talk about Sabalenka, she has not dropped a single set in this entire tournament. And if we talk about Coco Gauff also, that world second seed, she has also defeated Loïc Boisson. She ended her dream run in the semi-final, and she is going to be competing for a maiden Grand Slam title. And if we talk about the head-to-head record between both the 2 players, it is the same. It is a 5-5 record between both the 2 players. But if we talk about the latest match, the last match that both the players played, it was won by Sabalenka in Madrid Open final. So of course, it is going to be a thrilling match between these 2 players as well. And if we also talk about Sabalenka, she has won the US Open, she has also won the Australia Open. So she will be focusing on showing her dominance in the clay court as well. So it is of course going to be a thrilling match. And if we talk about Coco Gauff as well, the America's player has been laser focused in this entire tournament, and she has been playing brilliantly throughout the tournament. So it is definitely going to be a very exciting match, and whatever the result may be, the French Open is going to definitely have a new champion in this tournament. So we'll be looking forward to that.
All right, Priya, thank you so much with that update. And a drone light show focused on marine life lit up the skies in Nice, France on Friday ahead of the 2025 UN Ocean Conference. The conference, co-hosted by France and Costa Rica, will run from June 9th till June 13th and will be centered around accelerating action and mobilizing all actors to conserve and sustainably use the oceans, according to the UN. All right, with that, we end this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.